Coach, start with shooting. 3-point shooting the last couple games has not been very good.
That's kind.
So, as you look at it, fundamental problems, defenses doing something. What is it that you try to correct to get that better?
Yeah, some of it is shot selection, and then other parts are just missing. Like we've told our guys, like you got JP, Imani, some of those looks are great looks that hey, we just got to keep shooting them and knock them down. So from a confidence standpoint, we got to continue to take those and hopefully make them at a higher rate. We just had a bad week shooting for sure, but not sidestepping your question, but it ultimately still was about our defense. On a night, both of those nights where we didn't shoot it well, our defense wasn't what it has been either. Like that was our main issue, was those breakdowns defensively. So on a night where we weren't shooting it well, we couldn't keep up, and that hurt us in both of those. Previous.
What was it defensively that was going wrong?
We got a little bit too isolated, I guess you'd put it, where we got a little spread out, and guys were on islands too much, and we had been really good at that previously. Like we went back and watched, kind of our last 5 games of every made basket, and then there was some glaring things that were taking place in our last 2 games that weren't happening in the previous game. So we just got to get back to some fundamentals there that had slipped and get a little more connected as a whole defense instead of just one-on-ones. Our guys they're playing hard. It just we just weren't as connected.
You don't want to accept that, obviously, but is that kind of common? You get a stretch or a couple of games where things that you were doing well then don't work for a little bit, and then you get back on track?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's certainly what we're trying to have happen. I think teams every year you're going to go through a couple weeks where you're not playing as well. You're going to go through a week or two where you're playing great. And it's trying to keep those mediums as much as possible on the bad side of how do we minimize bad shooting night or whatever it may be. How do you minimize, maybe just don't have it that night so that as often as you can. But we know we had a bad week. They understand that, but like I told them, you can't let a previous loss affect the next one or the next one and the next one. So we got to continue to stay with it, stay confident, and play to that.
This is a high-level analysis, but it's clear that teams are putting multiple guys on small and trying to get the ball out of his hand and have other people score. How do you work Javon through that, the frustrations of having those waves of guys come at him?
Yeah, for us, it's trying to get him off the ball some, where we still need him with the ball in his hands and making plays. But as you mentioned, they're going to bring 2 guys to the ball. Now one side of that is when they bring 2 to the ball, we have a numbers game on the backside of it. So if we get it out of there, which we have, that's where some of those 3-point opportunities come. You get it out, make that one extra pass, you're shooting a wide open 3. That's just a matter of making them, and then we're going to do that. Like I said, we didn't this week, but I have all the confidence in the world that we'll make those shots more than we won't. We just didn't. It didn't happen this week. And then the other piece is getting him off the ball, where we can get him on the move, and now he's coming off of a screen without the ball, and now you can't load up on him, so he gets a little more of a crease and he's going to draw gravity wherever he is. I mean, it's what good players are going to get, and certainly as you get into league play, that everybody's going to copycat everybody, both sides of the ball, and there's a scouting report on every team in the league, and how do you play them, how do you guard them, who do you take away, who are you trying to stop? So, they're going to try and stop Javon, and we got to continue to find ways to get him the ball though, where he can still get into good scoring opportunities or positions on the floor.
This is probably the first time in his career this has ever happened to this degree. I mean, he was at East Carolina. I'm sure he was a good scorer there, Oklahoma State, but not to this level. I mean, is that something you have to help him through?
Yeah, and we're certainly doing that. I mean, we're putting him a lot of different things to find ways to get him into space, and he's a good scorer. He's still finding ways to go go get some buckets. We just got to make it easier for them. But then the other side of it too is we can't put it all on Javon. We got to continue to get that second score and that third score on most nights, and that might be just a variety of ways to do that. Guys playing to their strengths. How do we get them in the best spots possible? But at the end of the day, when he gets rid of the ball, we got to make plays outside of that.
Talk about challenges, trying to make it easier for them, and Houston staring in the face. I mean, that's not really a team that's going to make it any easier.
You noticed that too, right? Yeah. Yeah. No, Houston's. I mean, they're terrific. They're as good as it gets. Defensively, especially it's a hard code to crack, and nobody's really been able to do it much. So they're just so disciplined in what they do, and they're aggressive. They create turnovers. We've watched that tape probably 10 times, and there just weren't a lot of great scoring opportunities. So you got to really take advantage of when you do get those open cracks. An open three, a step in three, you got to convert because they don't give you very many.
Is interchangeable a good word for them? I mean, you look at them; they're all about the same. The bigs are about 6'8". They're all athletic. They all play hard. The guards are within the same range. And you go out there and you look and you see, well, there's Roberts. Well, then here comes somebody else. And it's like they're just all interchangeable. Is that kind of the blueprint of the game today?
Yeah, they have great just across the board, both offensively and defensively, of just versatility, and then they go to the bench, and then they have another guy that comes in, and he can 6'8", 6'9", can run, jump, shoot, whatever it may be. But they all complement each other really well in the way they play. They can come out and they can trap a ball screen and really blitz it and be aggressive and get in rotations, or they can come out and just switch it, and they're fine with that either way. So they can do those things. And then on the offensive end, same type of deal. They have their three guards all shoot it at a high level, and then they can post it with Roberts. They have rebounders that come in, offensive rebounders, and they just complement each other so well, and that's why they are where they are right now.
You got Uzan, who just almost got a triple-double against Kansas. I mean,
yeah,
pick your poison, right?
Yeah, he's been really good for them. He's kind of their quarterback back there, and facilitates and gets guys into spots and can get downhill and go make plays for himself and others too.
Sharp has been a consistent shooter for him. Crier's been a pretty consistent scorer and shooter for him. When you kind of break down your Big 12 games so far, Houston's really been the only team that's really attacked you and won from three-point range. Is it just because those guys can just really shoot the ball, or did they do something that night in particular that maybe confounded things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good. I mean, they've got good players. The thing about our game with them last time was there are some things you got to choose. Roberts is posting. You try to play him one-on-one like we did early, and he goes 8 for 10 in the first half. You come and I think we came and doubled him twice, and they hit threes on both possessions. So they put you in tough spots there. But where you really get in trouble is like live ball turnovers, offensive rebounds, kickouts, and that's where they're elite at it. So you have to minimize that. And then in our game with them last time, we made, I think, 5 or 6 mistakes of, they just went under a ball screen or whatever, and they made us pay on every single one of them. And they can do that to you. So minimizing those type of mistakes, but minimizing the mistakes on the offensive end where you're not giving them turnovers and they're getting transition threes, because they got, I think it was 3 or 4 of those in that game as well. So that's a strength of theirs that you have to try to take away. But some of it's the opposite of where you think you got to take it away. It's more take care of the ball so they don't get into those spots. Making sure that you don't make mistakes on the defensive end of going under a screen, and they're allowed to just tee one up. But they're good players. They take advantage of it when you do.
Basketball kind of funny in that sense, where a simple decision, do I go under the screen or do I go over top of it? Something as simple as that can make a big difference in the game.
No, it does. And they put you in tough spots because they're going to screen you, rescreen you, and sometimes they'll fake a handoff, then they'll come back and get another one. So it sounds easy. Just don't do that. but they make it challenging.
When a coach plays somebody a second time, as you're going to, and you did Arizona, what kind of tweaks, changes do you make to the game plan? I mean, is it all based on just what you saw the last time, or do you have, well, we got to do some things different just because they know what we're doing?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think maybe the first time, if it went really well, you play to that to some degree. You also know they're going to try to counter that as well. So I think for the most part, it's depending on how long you played them. Like if it was 10 games ago, they may be doing stuff completely different because every team's going to evolve as the year goes and what they're trying to do and things. So, for us, there are some things from that game we felt we could really improve on. There's some things we did well and want to maximize those and minimize the others.
Wilson was a guy that really didn't do anything against you guys, but then he kind of blew up against Kansas. I mean, again, another 6'8" guy that you add to the menu, right?
Yeah, I mean Sharp was not 100% in that game, so he didn't play quite as much. He came off the bench and things, but yeah, having another guy that can come in off the bench and get you, I think it was 18 or whatever it was. It's yeah.
Darian, you've mentioned this before about them, and other coaches have as well, that they just have that knack for making you pay for mistakes. That's something any team can do, but it seems like the ones that really separate themselves do that. Is it veteran? Is it just a collection of talent? Like, what is a team good at that just makes them so opportune so consistently?
Yeah, I think it's their aggression. Like, because they win a lot of those 50-50 balls, so there's, a battle for a loose ball, a rebound or whatever, and then they come out with it. So you're in a scramble situation every time they win one of those type of situations, and now it's just a matter of them just, kicking it out. And to your point, very veteran team. Like they've played a lot of basketball. They don't panic, but they understand what winning is for them, and they play to it.
You know that though, is there? I mean, the way they get the 50-50 balls, rebound and defend, and you're probably not going to get into the 70s or 80s against them. Is there a mental block going into a matchup with a team like that that you kind of have to overcome? And
no, I think the biggest thing, you better be ready to match it, like we've told her, don't look for fouls. They're not calling them, so you better play. And that's you have to match that because if you don't, they're gonna beat you.
The way this league is set up and the way the leagues are set up now, this is almost becoming like the NBA game. I mean, you've got West Coast trips, you've got multiple teams. Houston's coming east now. And do you talk to anybody about that? I mean, how do we approach this moving forward with the time you're going to be on the road and the amount of games? There was a stretch, I think you played, 5 games in 9 days? I mean, it's almost like the pros in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the trips are, there's some challenging travel trips, and then you throw their school and all that on top of it, and but that's what it is. Like that's all part of it. Like our guys are fine. They're 18 to 23-year-olds. They recover pretty quickly. But we just get to see more parts of the country. So
you started slow in both games last week. How do you avoid that against a team as good as Houston? Yeah,
that's a tough spot. The Arizona State game, we responded pretty quickly. We got down 10-2, I believe, in both games, Kansas State as well. But we came back in the Arizona State game and took the lead. Kansas State on the road, we didn't. We got down early and never recovered. And that's certainly something we've talked about this week. Of like the slow starts they're tough. And when you're playing a team like Houston, that can make it double tough, because when they're playing with a lead and playing from front, that's challenging to try to claw back into a game because of the way they defend and rebound.
When you coach it in a game like this against Houston, do you kind of think of in terms of blocks of minutes, like 4 minutes here or 4 minutes there, and kind of win this time and then win this time and hang around? Do you think that way? Is that the mentality you take?
Yeah, for us, like if as you mentioned, a game in the 80s, probably we're not winning that one. We have to make this just a game where every possession is valued more, and even just the 4 minutes of possessions are so important. You know, taking care of the ball is so important. You know, not giving them second opportunities because they'll make you pay on those offensive rebounds as the veteran group they are. So you have to do everything you can to minimize mistakes, but you can't lose your aggression at the same time, because now if you're playing on your heels because you're afraid of making mistakes, you're going to make more. So we still got to be aggressive. You know, play to go win the game, but every possession's got to be a priority, because there's just not enough of them in the game to overcome it if you don't.
A while ago, there was kind of a report, a whisper that they might go 5 years, 5 seasons. Have you heard anything about that as a coach? Any type of, I don't know, between coaches, from administration, anything like that?
Yeah, it's certainly out there. I think there is some traction to it. You know, how much I don't know for sure. I think like everything right now with what's going on in the NCAA, there's so many lawsuits coming from everywhere. So I think it's certainly been talked about and discussed. It wouldn't surprise me if it ends up in that space. It's just not there yet.
Pro or con to that type of setup?
I just do with whatever the rules they put in front of us.
Perfect transition. Wouldn't you like to know, because every coach, whether it's the start of the season, middle, the end, and some roster complications as well, it would be nice to know. But, and I know there's no answer, so you can't have it, but is there a frustration that some of these things could be in limbo for such a prolonged period of time that you don't have a conclusion? You just have questions of people like me asking that you can't possibly answer to.
Right. Yeah, and I don't have the answers. Like you mentioned, it's you know, football just got done. Those kids that are seniors, you know, if there's a fifth year going to be awarded, they would need to know really soon. You know, because they're done. They're moving on. They may have graduated at Christmas. So, you know, the timing of all, I don't know how that shakes out, and you know, I'll let other people figure that out. But there is certainly some talk of it.
A little bit, then the JUCOs sort of getting an additional time. JUCO years don't count, or I still don't quite figure out how that works. Does that change how you look at those people and you know, the recruitment of guys who have junior college backgrounds?
Yeah, I have a couple of former players that are wondering if they can come back. You know, I was like, yeah, come on. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out long term. Does you know, do more people now want to attend junior colleges just because they can play there for 2 years and not lose any eligibility, where maybe before they were going the prep school route? I don't know how it plays out, but certainly for a lot of those kids now, there's some 2 extra years of opportunity.